This video is going to show you how to set up a complete appointment booking automation inside of HighLevel so you can increase your show up rates, decrease the amount of time that you spend sending out links and reminders and worrying about that kind of stuff, and ultimately make more money because more people are going to show up, so stick around. Hey, welcome back to the video. My name is Dom, and on this channel we talk about all things HighLevel. So if you're trying to learn HighLevel as a small business owner trying to learn the system, or you're looking to resell HighLevel as an agency owner, I talk about all those things on this particular channel. So if you like what you see on the video, I invite you to hit that likes button and consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos just like this one. Now, like the intro suggested, having a full set of appointment automations inside your HighLevel account is going to do a couple of things for you. Number one is decreasing your operational load, because outside of setting up this set of automations, there's going to be literally nothing for you to do except show up when the appointment appears on your calendar. Number two, it's going to increase your show rate, because it's not only going to put your appointment on their Google Calendar, but it's also going to send them reminders leading up to and delivering the link right at the time of the appointment. So all your customer has to do is click on the link and show up in the Zoom room. And this is also going to increase your no-show reschedule rate, because if somebody no-shows, all you have to do is click a button, it will put them on a sequence and reach out to them to reschedule the appointment, and there's nothing for you to do on your end besides click the button to mark them as a no-show. And before we actually jump into HighLevel, I want to head over to the whiteboard and draw this all out so you have a visual representation of what we're going to be building inside of HighLevel. That way it's easier to conceptualize and it's easier to understand exactly what we're building. Now, before we actually go ahead and jump into HighLevel, let's actually draw this out here on the board visually so you can understand what's going on once we get into HighLevel. So what we're going to do is this whole thing, I'm going to use green for this. This whole thing here is going to circle around our calendar. That's going to be our calendar. So what's going to happen now is leading up to our appointment, all right? Our appointment here is going to be that little X there on our appointment. We're going to have a reminder sequence. And our reminder sequence is going to really lead right into the calendar. Now, on this appointment, one of two things can happen. Either the person can show or the person can no show. And what's going to happen is, based upon whether or not the person shows or doesn't show, we're going to send them down one of these two routes. So if the person shows, we're going to have basically a show sequence. If there are any things, invoices, anything that you want to send the person, we're going to build a show automation. And then we're also going to build a no-show automation there. So if somebody doesn't show, all we have to do is we just have to click a button and it will send them down basically a no-show sequence, trying to get them back here on the calendar. So far we're actually going to keep an inventory of all the HighLevel items that we need, and hopefully my video editor will keep some sort of a tally on the side of what we have. We're going to need a calendar that we're going to have built. I prefer a round robin. I'll explain that later on in the video. We're going to need a reminder sequence. We're going to need a show up sequence. And we're going to need a no-show sequence. So this is the bare minimum of what we are going to need for our appointment sequence. But to better track and keep track of everybody who showed and who's in the pipeline, who's a lead and who's not, we're actually going to add a pipeline. The reason being is that HighLevel's dashboard and HighLevel's tracking works very, very well on a pipeline. And this way, if we have multiple team members, we can show exactly who's on the board, who showed, who didn't. And again, we can do some more tracking to determine the quality of our leads. So on this pipeline, I like to have a couple of different columns. The first one I have here is requested. Now, I like requested. This is not a confirmed appointment. This is a requested appointment. I personally like to manually confirm all of my appointments just because I don't necessarily 100% trust the conflict calendars. That's my own paranoia from the early days of HighLevel. It's gotten much better now, but I still like to manually confirm just because there could be things that I have going on that didn't necessarily make it onto one of the conflict calendars. So I like to have a requested column. I would also have a confirmed column. I would have a confirmed column for all the confirmed appointments, who's on the schedule. Moving over this way, I would then have a no-show, because this is, somebody there could no-show on the appointment. And then of the people who show, you could either sell them or not sell them. So I would have a show sold, and then would also have a show no sale. Sorry about the handwriting, I'm kind of getting to the end of the board. So you're basically going to have on your pipeline here, you're going to have requested appointments, confirmed appointments, no show, show but you sold them, show but you didn't sell them. So this accounts for all of the possibilities that somebody can have inside of this particular appointment setup. All right, so once again, this is how it all is drawn out. So what's going to happen is all of your traffic is going to go into this initial reminder sequence to try to get them to show at the calendar on the appointment. And then they're going to drop into requested, or you're going to automatically confirm everybody. So everybody who's on this red part here is going to be in the white or the purple down here. Then when the appointment comes, either they're going to show, or they're going to show when you're going to sell them, show when you're not going to sell them, or they're going to no-show, and they're going to drop down basically one of the two automations based upon what happens over here. Now, let's hop into HighLevel and let's make this a reality. All right, so we're here inside of HighLevel, and the first thing that I want to do, this is a blank demo account that I made for this particular video. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to actually create a calendar, because this is an appointment booking automation, and we need to have an appointment on a calendar for this whole thing to work. So we're going to hop here into calendars. I'm going to assume that you don't have a calendar made already. We're going to go to calendar settings, and then we're going to hop over here, and we're going to create a calendar by hitting this blue button. Now, again, I always like to use a round robin, even if it's only one person involved, because it does a really good job of looking for conflicts. And also, if you have maybe a sales team, or you have people who are going to be rotating in and out of the calendar, all you have to do is just add a person to the calendar or take a person off of the calendar, as opposed to creating a calendar for every person on your team. So really, the calendar is the centerpiece and not the team member. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a calendar fairly quickly, but if you do want a full calendar tutorial on how to use all the calendars inside of HighLevel, let me know down below in the comments, and I will bump it up to the top of the list. And when it's done, I'll put a card up here at the top of the video somewhere, so when that's up. Now, what we're going to do here is we're just going to call this appointment calendar here. And again, I'm going to go through this quickly because this is more of an automation tutorial than a calendar tutorial. So what we're going to do here is you put the appointment calendar. Select the team members who are going to be attached to this calendar, who are going to be round robin. If it's just you, it's just you. And then this really here, the slug, does not really matter because we're not going to be using this slug anyway. Meeting duration, 30 minutes is fine. 8 to 5 is fine. I'm going to jump here into advanced settings really quickly to kind of work through this. So we've got calendar name, description, group. For the invite title, what I like to do is I like to do the username, which will be brackets user.name. So what's going to happen now is that the person who is on the calendar, they're going to see their name and your name, as opposed to just their name on their Google Calendar. Adding that little X username is perfect. And again, it's going to bring up this person's name here on their Google Calendar. Now, speaking of team members, as we come down here, the next thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that your Zoom account is hooked up to your personal profile in your HighLevel account. The reason being is that if you come down here in this little drop down, you select Zoom, it's going to generate a dynamic Zoom link every single time specific for that customer. So you're not using a static Zoom room for everything. And it's also going to add that Zoom availability to the Google Calendar itself. Now, I'm going to get a big red error because this is a testing account and I only have one Zoom account. But what we're going to do here is I think I have my Google account set up. So what this is going to do instead, this is actually going to set up a Google Meet link in place of a Zoom link. But either way, if you set it up here, it's going to create a new link for the meeting every single time. Color, I just leave it a default blue, but if you want to actually have it, be a different color, you can go through that there. Now, when we get to the availability, again, I'm going to leave this as the default because, again, this is not a calendar tutorial. I just want to go through here, make sure that that is in there. We hit save. Now, when it comes to forms and payment, I do want to stop here really quick because the default form is fine. But if you have a specific form for an appointment that you want to use, you would select it here if you want to gather any specific information, again, on the customer so that you can better prepare, if you want to further qualify your appointment leads. This is where you would select your form here. Coming down, I do like to check on pre-populate the field sticky contacts because if they have opted in before, it's going to pre-fill their information so they don't actually have to, it's less things for them to do, for them to actually book the meeting. Coming down here to the confirmation page, I like to do a default URL and have a appointment confirmation page. For the purposes of this particular video, we're going to use the default message which says, thanks for your request. We will double check our schedule and let you know when you are confirmed. Again, I like to manually confirm my appointments. If you want to have it use Facebook Pixel ID and track people who set appointments, you would put that in here. Auto confirm new calendar meetings. I check that off again because I manually confirm these. We're going to hit save. Now, when it comes to notifications, additional options, what we go into here is I go into an acknowledgement email. There's only one there on the dropdown. I like to send an email to the contact and also to the assigned user and let them know that there is an appointment. Now, we are going to also send an email, a confirmation email through a workflow. I send the second email here just basically as a failsafe. I'd rather somebody get 2 confirmations than somebody get no confirmations. So I'll send that there as a failsafe, and then I always check allow Google Outlook Calendar to send invitation, update emails, and attendees. So even if you go to spam, they're also going to get a Google push notification of their appointment. And again, they're never going to turn off their Google or Outlook push notifications, so they're always going to get the invitations on their calendar there. And then after you have the Google and Outlook calendar to send invitation, email updates to attendees, you also want to check the box here that basically assigns contacts to their respective calendar team members each time an appointment is booked. So what this is going to do is this is going to take the person who got the appointment who was booked, and it's going to assign that customer to the person who booked the appointment. And this is going to make our lives infinitely easier once we get into the automations. I also do not want to skip assigning the contact if they already have an assigned user. Now, if you're more of a support role, this is a support calendar, and they have a salesperson they're assigned to, you might want to check that. But in this case, I'm assuming this is going to be a sales calendar, and you want to have salespeople assigned to leads. So we're going to leave that unchecked. So what this is going to do is every single appointment that gets booked is going to assign to me. I allow rescheduling, I allow cancellation, but I do not let people cancel or reschedule 60 minutes or less before the meeting. So basically those links will be down here on the actual appointment itself, but they will not work within 60 minutes of the meeting. Now, speaking of what's on the calendar, these additional notes, this is what's actually going to show up on Google Calendars when they pull up the meeting on their either Google Calendars or Outlook. So what I like to do here is I like to add notes, and I put bracket, and it's appointment dot notes. And what this is going to do is on the form, there's a notes form where somebody can basically put what they want to talk about at the meeting or any additional information that you should know to help you prepare. And what that's going to do, it's going to pull it off of the form and put it into your Google Calendar so it's easier for you to prep. So adding that there to the notes is fine. We'll hit save. As far as customizations, I'm going to leave this all on the defaults. I'm not going to do this because this is an automation and efficiency tutorial. But one thing here, if you do have multiple staff on your roster, you can actually check this box and have someone pick who they want to have the appointment with. But again, it's just me. We're going to leave it set off. And just like that, once we save it, we now have a calendar that people can book with us, but it's not hooked up to anything. So what we want to do now is we want to actually build the set of workflows around this and the calendar and the pipelines around this. So now we can go ahead and we can actually track all of the appointments. We can set all the reminders, all the automations, and do all of that. Now, what I like to do here, I like to build with the pipelines and the opportunities first, and then go into automations, because automations we can get really lost in the weeds. So if you remember from the whiteboard, we are going to add a pipeline. I'm going to call this one here appointment status. And if you remember, we have requested, we have confirmed, we have no show, and then we've got show no sale, and then we've also got showed sold. These are all of our possible appointments, all the possible stages that somebody can basically enter in this calendar setup. So over here, we hit save. Now we have our pipeline. If we come into the opportunities tab, we'll now see all of these columns like we had here on the Blackboard. Okay, to finish this off, what we want to do is we want to actually come here into automations. And anytime I go create an automation, one thing I like to do is I like to put everything in folders, and I like to use a standard naming convention so it keeps this organized. Anybody who's been working in HighLevel for a while, if you've been building and deleting and building and chopping up, this gets really messy. So what you want to do here is we hit create folder, and I am going to say appointment automations. I'm going to hit create, or whatever the appointment is. If it's a sales appointment, if it's a service appointment, if it's a specific appointment with somebody, you want to name the folder something that you are going to remember. But again, I'm going to be using generic names because this is a generic tutorial. All right. Opening up the folder, now we're actually going to build our automations. So we're going to hit create workflow, and you do have recipes here for automations and confirmations of appointments, but to kind of show you how that's built, I'm going to do everything here from scratch. We're going to hit continue, and the first thing I like to do whenever I can create a new automation is I like to change the name. And when I create names, especially if there's multiple automations, if you remember, we have the the reminders and we have the show and the no-show, I like to number them in the order that the lead is going to interact with them. So, for instance, we're going to go appoint. So it'll be appointment reminders, and then I give it a 1 because this is the first thing that they're going to interact with. And it's going to say appointment requested. Because remember, this is going to be something I manually confirm my appointments. So again, we have appointment requested, and this is going to be somebody requests an appointment, and it's going to notify us that there's a new appointment that's requested that we have to go manually confirm. Now, before I start building stuff here, I like to standardize everything. So if you come over here into the settings, what this does is this is actually going to allow you to create the default sending address on all of your emails and also send out, standardize the time zone in which everything goes out. So we want to have allow reentry checked on, because if people want to set up multiple appointments, they can. And you want to have this here set to the account time zone. This is because all of the reminders are going to be based upon the time zone that the appointment is set in, and that's the appointment that you are working on. Come over through there. If you only want things to send during business hours, you can tick this on. But since the appointment is going to be within business hours, you don't necessarily need to tick this on because everything's going to be relative to the appointment that is set during normal business hours. This is what I really wanted to get into, is sender details. So sender details, you can basically say that it's going to put your name on every single email, and then you can actually put, your email on every single email. Now, if this is a round robin calendar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this little tag here. Tag is going to be user. So that's the assigned user, basically that's assigned on the round robin. It's going to say user, full name. Or you can make it a little bit less formal. You can use user first name at your business. So it'll be like Dom at lead vortex is basically what's going to happen there. So let's go into here, Dom at lead vortex. And then we want to come over here to email. The email is going to be user email. So it's going to take the assigned user's email and then it's going to send it over there. The reply is going to be the particular person, the user's email who's assigned to it. So again, if you have multiple salespeople working this calendar, the replies are going to go to the person who the appointment is with. Now what I'm going to go here is I'm going to hit save. And once again, before I start to build this, I'm going to back out. I'm going to duplicate this a couple times because I want to keep the same settings across all of my automations. I don't want to have to keep doing that every time I build a workflow. So what I'm going to do here is we have appointment requested. I'm going to duplicate the workflow. Next thing we're going to do, appointment's going to be confirmed. And then when the appointment happens, we have one of 3 things that can happen. So we're going to duplicate this again 3 more times. We're going to go appointment, reminders, and we're going to say this is going to be 3A, and I'm going to go A, B, and C because again, there's 3 things that can happen at the same time. So we're going to say, we'll call it no show nurture. And then we're going to come over to here and then we're going to duplicate it one more time. Call this one B, and then we're going to go show no sale. And then we're going to go to the other one here and we can go into duplicate it again. And we're going to have here's 3C and it's going to show show sold. These are all of the appointment reminders. Now, these are all the automations that we want to work with. And again, everything now has that same user email, username. Everything now is going to come from the correct person. Now, we go here to appointment 1, appointment requested. We'll start at the beginning. And again, if you remember from the Blackboard, we have the time. This is going to be when the person first requests the appointment. So the trigger on this is going to be its appointment status. And then we're going to say appointment requested. I like to name these something that I'm going to remember. And now when it comes to filters, event type is normal, which means it's a regular one-time appointment and not a recurring appointment. But the more important filters here are the status is, and we want to select new. So new is going to be unconfirmed. And then we also want to filter it by what calendar it's in. In this case, we only have one calendar, but again, we want to specify the calendar. So if we have specific copy for specific types of appointments, we're not listening to everything on the calendar. So appointment requested. And now what I like to do is I like to email the person right away, let them know that I've received their request. So we're going to come over to here. We're going to hit email, send email. And I like to name it. And I like the name on the email, kind of a 3-word summary of what the email is going to say. So it'll be thanks for your request. We'll have something like that. Don't worry about the from name. Don't worry about the from email because that's handled up here in the settings tab. Now the subject, this is what the email subject is going to be. So I like to use something that's kind of tongue in cheek that says you are penciled in, but this is going to be something, basically tell them that I received your request, but you're not confirmed just yet. So I typically will say something like you're penciled in, and then I'll address it, use the custom value, use this little tag here, go to contact. All right, so with this first email is going to read something like this, and they're going to get this again immediately after they request the appointment. So it's going to say, hey, contact first name, hey, John. All right, thanks for requesting an appointment with me. While I'm 99% sure the time that you picked works, let me double check my schedule and let you know for sure that it works. You'll get another email from me once I check the schedule. Talk soon, and then what you want to do is you want to go into here and put user. So again, it's going to be the assigned user. And you want to do full name or first name. I put full name for the first one, so it's kind of formal. They know exactly who it is. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put username. So again, if there's multiple people on the schedule, it's going to pull that username that's there. And again, this is super simple. It basically just tells them that, hey, I got your request. Let me just double check the schedule and confirm it. I'll get back to you. So we want to save that email there. And I also want to send an accompanying text because text messages are super reliable. And then the accompanying text is going to look something like this. It's going to say, hey, contact first name. This is user first name with location name. Now, the reason why I have person's name, my name, and the business name in the front of the text is because you have to do that to be A2P compliant. So, hey, John, this is Dom with Lead Vortex. I got your appointment request. Let me confirm and get back to you. And then you have to have the opt-out language here, reply stop to end. You have to have that there to be A2P compliant. And the other thing, the reason why I have reply stop to end here and all kind of squished up is I want to draw your attention down here to the 155 characters. If you can, you want to keep your texts really, really short. You want to keep them under 160 characters because if this goes to like 168 characters or 200 characters, it's actually going to get billed as 2 texts instead of 1. So you always want to try to keep your texts under 160 characters if you can. I went at 155 because it's counting all the custom value brackets. Names are going to be a little bit shorter, but business names might be a little bit longer. And again, I've used the location.name, user.firstname, and then contact.firstname to pull all those fields on the text. So we're going to save that action there. So right now they're going to get, when somebody sets their appointment, they're going to get an email and they're going to get a text saying, hey, I got the request. Next thing we want to do is we actually want to alert the user that they have a request. They want to go check their calendar. So we're going to add something here, which is going to be an internal notification. And the type of notification is going to be up to you. Since I like the LC app, I like to pop a notification inside the Lead Connector app, which says something like new appointment request. And I will say over here, I'll go contact full name. Okay, so what I like to do here on this notification is going to say contact name has requested an appointment on appointment start date and time. And what I've done here is to kind of get this one up here is you get the little custom values. You go into the appointment. It says start date and time. So it's going to say, John has requested an appointment on July 6th at 6 p.m. It says go check and confirm. So what that's going to do is that's going to pop a notification for me that I have a new appointment inside of my Lead Connector app. Scrolling down here, if I click on the notification, I want it to go to the contact. Right, you can actually go to the contact, the conversation, or the opportunity. I put it into the contact, so it's going to pull up all their contact record, and it will also show the appointment that I can actually confirm or reschedule. And then user type, you want this to go to the user assigned to the contact. Now we go ahead and we hit save action. So what that's going to do now is that's going to pop a notification. And then I also want a double notification here as I want to actually create a task. What this is going to do, this is going to pop a task on the dashboard that says, hey, go confirm your appointment with such and such. So we go over to here. We can go confirm appointment, which again is going to be the name. And it's going to say confirm appointment with, and then we come over to here and we go to contact full name. And then we can say they requested appointment on, hit the tag over here. This button here, this little tag button here is your absolute best friend. So we come over here, we go to appointment, start date and time, go confirm or reschedule. And then it's going to assign to contacts assigned user and then due in, I like to give it a day. And that basically is going to be our appointment requested workflow. So when somebody goes ahead and somebody requests an appointment, they're going to say, thanks for your request. Thanks for your request. It's basically going to text and email them, pop a notification for you, and then it's going to assign a task for you to go and to confirm that person's appointment. When we're happy with that, we hit publish, we hit save. Done. Now let me go request an appointment on that calendar and I'll show you what it looks like. So we come over here to calendars. We are going to go into calendar settings, calendar link. And we're going to come over to here. Now let's just set 2:30 p.m. We're just going to select the time. All right, so I'm filling out the details, and this additional information, this is what that extra notes on the Google Calendar is going to be. This is extra notes on what I want to cover. They have to check the box for the confirm, and then what we're going to do is we're going to schedule the meeting. Now, after the person schedules, they have the option to put it on their Google Calendar or their Outlook calendar. This is a testing tutorial, so I'm not going to do this, but this is what the person's going to see after if you don't actually set up an appointment confirmation page. Again, this is perfectly fine to leave as a default here. And when they request their appointment, they're actually going to show up here if you go into the appointments settings here. And then after somebody requests that appointment, this is what it's going to look like. So on the dashboard down here in the task, you'll see here it says confirm appointment with Tester McTesterson. They requested the appointment on Monday, August 12th at 2:30 p.m. So you can see that right here that it pulls the date and time of the appointment right onto your tasks. And then inside from the tasks over here, if we come up to the top, we go to the notifications tab. You'll actually see the custom notification popped right here. New appointment request, Tester McTesterson has requested an appointment here. Go check and confirm. So what I want to do here, and you'll also see it says new appointment booked with them. And everything here is everything here is set up. All right, so you're going to see this inside your LC app. And now let's go see what the appointment looks like. So we're going to go here into the calendars tab. We come up here into appointments, and you'll see the appointment requested right here, and it has an action here of new, and it's circled here in red. Now to confirm this, what we're going to do is we're going to actually just go to the drop down, hit confirmed. But right now we don't actually have any automation set up. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up that appointment confirmation notification. So we come over here into automations, go to automations, then we come down here into appointment confirmed. And now in our number 2, this is going to be, again, we're going to use appointment status here as our trigger. And we're going to come into here and we're going to go appointment confirmed as the name. And it's going to say add filters, status is confirmed. And then we're going to come into here and it's going to say in calendar, appointment calendar. Now we have appointment confirmed. Now what we're going to do is when we flip that to confirm, that's going to, on that drop down, that's going to be the trigger for this automation. Now what I want to do, the appointment confirmed is also going to be the reminders as well. And for the sake of keeping the pace of this video, I'm going to basically send an email, and I'm not going to actually write out all of the emails themselves. So we're going to say confirmation email. And again, don't worry about name, don't worry about email, because that's done here in the settings. We go subject, appointment confirmed. For considering the pace of this email, I'm going to just put placeholder here. Okay, because again, to try to keep this pace and not have this video be hours long, we're going to hit confirmation email. Then I also want to put an SMS here as a text. So we're going to say here, appointment confirmed. Now, as soon as you confirm it, the person's going to get an email. They're going to get a text that you looked at your schedule, and that time now is officially confirmed. So that's going to do there. Now, the most important parts of this particular automation is going to be setting the reminder intervals. And for that, we're going to use the wait step. We're going to add over here, we're going to use wait. And then what we're going to do is I like to send a 2-day, 1-day, and a 1-hour reminder. So we're going to say a 48-hour reminder. And then on the wait, what we're going to do is we're going to wait for event appointment time. So what this is doing is we're waiting to a point in time that's relative to when that appointment is set. So we're going to set here before, and then we're going to go 2 days before, 48 hours. If somebody books an appointment for less than 48 hours, it's just going to skip all the communication actions and then just basically go and kind of put them back into flow. We want to have the skip all outbound communications. So 48-hour reminder. And then what I like to do is I like to set my intervals before I start putting my communications in. And this is what I mean. So now that I have my wait, I'm going to copy this, copy the action here. So I'm going to have 48, 24, and then I'm going to have 1 hour ahead of time. So we're going to copy this again. And this is going to end up becoming my 1 hour. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to change this to 24-hour reminder. And then I'm going to go to here and make this my 1. So it's going to be 0 days and 1 hour. So now what I have now, I'm going to hit the save button here. I now have my breakpoint. Everything over here is going to go out 2 days before. Everything here is going to go out 1 day before. And everything here is going to go out 1 hour before. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put an email. It's going to be 48-hour reminder. And again, I'm just going to put placeholders here to keep the pace of the video up. But basically, this is a very informal message that's going to say, hey, just want to remind you, we have our appointment tomorrow. It's just going to say, hey, just remind you, we have your appointment in 2 days. This is just to let you know we're going to be at the following link. And let me show you actually what the links and all the things are going to be. You want to give them the meeting link in the email. You go into custom values. You would go here into the appointment. And the appointment meeting location is going to be the Google Meet link that is generated. So the link is there. The appointment time, you want to include the time in the email. You want to go to custom values. You want to use the start date and time as there. I'll use these two in my reminders. So I'll say, hey, we're going to meet at the following link at the following time. And I use those two custom values. So when that's going to go out at 48 hours, it's also going to go out a variation of it at 24. And then another variation is going to go out at 1 hour. And now I don't text them 2 days and 1 day, but I will send them a text 1 hour beforehand because they might not be by a computer. They might not be anywhere. But what I want to do is I want to go a 1 hour reminder and say, hey, we're meeting in 1 hour here. And then I'll just go into here and then put in the attribution. Nope, I'm sorry. Go into here, go into the appointment, and then put the meeting location there. So now they're going to have their link right in their phone 1 hour before their 1 hour before their appointment. So now there's no excuse for them to say, oh, I didn't get the link. So now what we just did was we just texted them and we emailed them the link right before the appointment without any input from us. Okay, once this here is done and you've written all of your emails, I like to go ahead and hit publish and hit save. And now what's going to happen if we back out of this and we go back into our calendars, we go into our appointments. Now what happens is now when we go here, we say, hey, you know what, that time works. I'm free. I'm going to hit confirmed. What that's going to do is that's going to kick off that appointment confirmation sequence and let them know that we confirmed the appointment. And it's also going to basically remind them to show up on time. This is the bulk of what this is going to do. Okay, so now that we have the confirmation automation set in place, that's going to be where the bulk of our leads are going to go through. Now we just have to basically set up what happens after the appointment. Whether they show, don't show, we sell them, we don't sell them. So now to set that up, what we're going to do is we're going to have over here into automation and into appointment automations. I'm going to go here into a no-show nurture. And now for the no-show nurture sequence, we're going to use the appointment status here as a no-show. So we're going to go appointment status, use this as the trigger again. And we're going to go no-show appointment as the name. Wait for the filters to load. And we're going to search for in calendar, use the appointment calendar, and then use appointment status is no-show. So again, when you flip the person over to a no-show, that's going to trigger on this particular sequence. Now, the no-show sequence, I don't generally try to chase people for a no-show because I'd much rather go out and get a fresh customer, because somebody who's going to no-show once or even no-show twice, they're probably not going to be a good person to work with. So what I'll do here is I'll make one attempt to get them back on the schedule, and then that's really about it. That's all I'm going to do. So what we're going to do here is when you trigger somebody here to no-show, what I want to do is I want to send them an email, and we're going to say something like, missed you, or something to that effect here in the email. Again, don't worry about the name. Don't worry about the email. It was set over here. I'm going to say like, hey, we missed you. And so the email is going to read something like this. It's going to have a subject line that kind of says, we missed you. And then as we come down here, it's going to say, hey, contact first name. I missed you today. I understand things come up though. So let's get something on the schedule. Book a new time here. And rather than just giving them a static link, what we're going to do is it has the appointment here. You can actually go ahead and use the appointment. You can go ahead and you can use reschedule link. And what that's going to do is that's going to give them a spot to pick another schedule. Or again, you can just link it to a page and use a static calendar link as well. But the reschedule link will actually just move the appointment on the schedule rather than booking a new appointment if you do it that way. Again, there's no right or wrong answer there. I prefer using the reschedule link as opposed to a static booking link for a new appointment. But again, it's totally up to you. So once that's there, it's going to say, hey, I missed you. And then same thing. I'm just going to fire off a quick text that says something like, we missed you. And again, you want to keep this super, super short because of that character limit. And then you can go appointment, you can go reschedule link, and it should be right there. And then we hit save action. And then they're basically they're going to get a text and email saying that, hey, we missed you. Now, if you really want to try a second time to get somebody back on the schedule, what you can do here is you can actually, we want to wait 1 day.
And then what you can do is you can basically wait a day here. And then you can also, again, you can just send these messages here again, send the reschedule link again, but it's not going to be something, I don't typically do it. I send them that one. If they're serious about it, they'll 9 out of 10 times, they're going to reschedule right then and there. So once that's done, I hit publish, I hit save. And then once we go back to workflows, and now for the show no sale appointment reminder here, this is going to depend on your business. It's going to depend on what your follow-up looks like. So there's not necessarily going to be any boilerplate or any standard template that I'm going to use on this particular type of automation. But what I'll do here is if someone shows up and they don't sell, you'll drag them in the pipeline over to the show no sale. And what's going to happen here is I use that as a pipeline stage changed. I go add filters. I go into in pipeline is going to be the appointment status. And then I want to go here in the stage is show no sale. And then what that's going to do is anytime they move into the show no sale, it's going to trigger this pipeline, which again could be more follow-up. It could be more, maybe you send them something free content instead. It's all going to depend upon what you're doing in your business. But again, I just like to use that trigger to, if you have an automation, something boilerplate that you want to put in place, you can put it there and you have this node here that you can start building off of. So that's through there. And then coming here into the home stretch, I know we're super, super long. You're going to come over to here where it's going to say show sold. It's going to be the same thing as show no sold. It's going to come over to here. Pipeline stage changed, and then it's going to be in pipeline, appointment status, and then you're going to go into here. It's going to go, pipeline stage is going to be show sold. So what's going to happen is you're going to drag the opportunity over to the sold. And what you're going to do there is you're going to create or update the opportunity. And what you're going to do is you're going to appointment status, show sold. And then what you want to do is you'll mark the status there as 1. And then the lead value is going to be, again, whatever your, let's say it's a $1,500 sale, whatever your, the value of the thing that you're selling is going to be, you put it right there. That's going to start calculating how much money you've made from your appointments. So we save the action through there. We're going to go, let's go to here. Let's go to update to sold. We'll change the name. So now we've got update to sold. And then again, you have this node to build off of if you have any kinds of onboarding emails. If you want to start sending new customer packets, right? Onboarding packets, links to onboarding training, whatever your sales process is going to look like, you're going to want to start building off of this particular node. And when that's done, we can hit publish. And if you already have an onboarding workflow built out, you can just basically come into here and go to use add to workflow, which is down here. If you add to workflow, if you have an onboarding workflow, you can select it here, and that's going to put the person in the new customer. So you don't actually have to build everything out in here if you don't want to. So that basically right there, when we're done with that, we hit publish, we hit save. And then once we have everything here set to publish, we are going to be live. And our eagle-eyed viewers here in the video will have noticed that I skipped the update opportunity in the first couple steps. Let me go back to that real quick because that was not actually in the first couple automations. No one actually got added to the pipeline. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to go back into number 1 real quick. In this little initial firing here, we're just going to add something here. Go opportunity. We're going to go add to pipe. Add to pipeline, and we're going to add them to the appointment status pipeline in the requested. That's going to create the box in the pipeline that the other ones are going to move. And for name, we want to put the customer name. We go to contact, full name, leave the source blank, lead value, leave that blank, and then leave everything else blank. That's going to basically just create a box. So it's requested. Next thing we have to do is add appointment confirmed. And now what we want to do is once the appointment's confirmed, we want to update the opportunity again, and we just want to move them into the confirmed stage. Again, you can leave everything here as blank. Go there. And then when they come over here to no-show nurture, when you mark them as no-show, we want to move them into the no-show part of the pipeline. Appointment status, no-show. Leave everything blank. It's just going to move the box. And once that's done, you're going to be done with an appointment booking system so that all of your reminders are automated, and you're going to have a pipeline that's going to show you where everybody is in the process. Now, if you want this as a snapshot, be sure to drop a comment and I will send it over to you. And if you like this and you want to learn more about HighLevel, I have a free course also in a pinned comment, also in the description, so you can go ahead and start learning HighLevel for free. Or you can continue watching me right here on YouTube by going to one of these two videos. I will see you in the next video.